Welcome to Croxon Family Racing. I'm your host, Adam Croxon, and with me, Zippy Squirrel. Zippy?
Thanks, Adam. Welcome back to the League of Champions. I'm Zippy Squirrel.
Thanks for joining us as our round of 32 continues. First matchup today is Corvettes versus Stingrays, followed by Engine Exposure versus Double It. Third match is High Five versus Karts, and our final match of the day is Mach Won versus Marvel and DC.
Our first match comes from the Southern Conference Beach Division between the 18-seeded Corvettes versus the 2-seeded Stingrays.
First up for the Corvettes is the red Corvette Grand Sport Roadster.
And he goes fast on the track, but then decides to take a nosedive. 0 points, DNF.
Corvettes will start off with 0, and we'll see if the blue 72 Stingray convertible can do any better for his team. We do appreciate you joining us today, Zippy. It was supposed to be Chip Monkington, but for some reason he is still MIA.
No problem, Adam. Glad to be here. Of course, Chip never showed up for any of my things ever.
But the blue 72 Stingray convertible showed up. 5 points in bucket 2. That'll take the Stingrays to a lead, 5-0.
Up next, we have the 2019 Chevrolet Corvette ZR1 convertible. He speeds down the track quickly but fails to trigger the launch. 0 points, a DNF.
Unfortunate turn of events for the Corvettes with their 2 leadoffs, both getting zeros. Stingray still ahead 5-0 with the black Corvette Stingray up next.
I don't really like Stingrays. Anywho, black Corvette Stingray speeds down the track and ends up landing in bucket 2, scoring 5 points for the team.
Like them or not, they're still scoring, and it looks like they're going to stay in this one for a while. 10 points for the Stingrays over the Corvette 0, and they're going to need something to happen with the 57 Chevrolet Corvette up next. He needs something here or it's over.
Whether you like it or not, he fails harder than Chip failed at our relationship. 0 points, a DNF.
Fail is right. The Corvettes remain at 0 while the Stingrays have 10, with the blue Corvette Stingray up next. He can add to their team's points and put this one pretty much out of reach for the Corvettes.
I think you're right, Adam. The blue Corvette Stingray zooms down the track, landing in bucket 2. 5 points.
With nearly an insurmountable lead, it's going to be hard to see how the Corvettes are going to come back from this one. It stands at 15-0 right now, Stingrays over the Corvettes.
Up next, we have the green Corvette Grand Sport Roadster.
He needs at least a bucket 2 finish if he wants to put his team back in this one, but he does not get it, falling out of the loop for 0 points. That will seal the deal for this one.
Corvettes with 0 and Stingrays with 15. Up next is a splattered 72 Stingray convertible.
The Corvettes don't have any chance to come back, unlike Chip Monkington, who has all the chance in the world to come back. But I digress. The 72 Stingray convertible has a clean run into bucket 2 for 5 points, extending their lead.
Stingrays now 20, Corvettes still 0. Up next is the 2011 Corvette Grand Sport. He may not be able to get points for his team now, but he can still get points for the individual battle.
But he does not, falling out of the loop and getting 0 points. It is still 20-5 Stingrays over the Corvettes. And this has been an overwhelming victory for the Stingrays, with the white Corvette Stingray up last for them.
He hasn't had a completion yet, but I know Chip will be rooting for this underdog.
I always love how you and Chip can't ever stop talking about each other.
But he fails, falling out of the loop for 0 points. And I really don't know what you're talking about. Stingrays with 20 and Corvettes with 0. And up last, the Corvette C6 convertible.
Last chance for the Corvettes to score any points at all. And his run is atrocious. 0 points, and they will end up shut out by the Stingrays. Stingrays with 20, Corvettes with 0. Take us through our walkthrough, Zippy.
Looking over the field, there are no cars in bucket 4 or 3. There are 4 Stingrays in bucket 2. And moving back along the track, we see all the remaining cars stacked by the loop.
Thanks for that, Zippy. And the final score is Corvette 0, Stingrays with 20. The Corvettes are eliminated. And up next, out of our Eastern Conference Swamp Division, is the 15-seeded Engine Exposure versus the 2-seeded Double It.
And up first for Engine Exposure, the Nitro Door Slammer. He zooms down the track, lickety-split, and ends up landing in bucket 2. 5 points.
No surprises there, as one of our consistent bucket 2 finishers. That'll put his team out in the lead 5-0, with the high voltage up next for Double It to see if he can match or beat it.
I must say, I really like High Voltage's windshield. It's really pretty. With a clean launch, he makes it out of the loop and into bucket 2, scoring 5 points.
That 5 points will knot it up between Engine Exposure and Double It. It's nice to see that at least one car on each team scored points this race. Next up for Engine Exposure is going to be the black 70 Dodge Charger RT. Any crystal ball predictions on this one?
Ha ha, very funny. What makes you think I have any of Chip's crystal balls?
I promise you I make no assumption about Chip's balls. 5 points for the black 70 Dodge Charger RT as he lands in bucket 2. That'll take Engine Exposure to 10 over Double It with 5.
Next up for Double It, 16 Angels. He's been a consistent bucket 2 finisher.
Right you are, Zippy, and he needs to keep that consistency if he wants his team to stay in this. And he has a nice smooth launch through the loop and out the jail into bucket 2 for 5 points, tying it up.
Excuse me, I'm taking this now. I will not have my name besmirched. 10 apiece for double it and engine exposure, with the White Drift King for engine exposure up next. Yeah, that's right, I'm back. Chip Monkington here.
Oh, so now you decide to show up. Not like you showed up for any of the dance competitions I went to.
Like I want to watch you strut that fluffy, luxurious tail all over the stage.
I can't say how great it is to have you two in the same room. 5 points for the White Drift King, landing in bucket 2. It's now 15-10, engine exposure over double it, with the 1974 Mustang Mach Won up next for double it.
You're such a brute. You should be called Chimp Monkington.
Me a brute, and this coming from the heart shatterer herself.
I love being in the middle of this. 5 points for the Ford Mustang Mach 1 into bucket 2. Engine exposure and double it knotted up at 15, with the black Roger Dodger 2.0 for engine exposure up next.
That's what I like about you, Adam. Always staying on topic. Unlike some other squirrels we might know. Black Roger Dodger gets 3 points, bouncing off the rim. What a heartbreaker. A car after your own heart, eh, Zippy?
You have to have a heart to break it. Besides, at least I have real friends. Engine exposure with 18 and double it with 15.
A light blue Chevy Solaire CX4 for double it goes and fails. 0 points for him, and it's still 18-15 engine exposure over double it. Do you guys need to go somewhere to talk about this, or can we get back to business?
Of course, Adam, I'm nothing if not professional. Masters of the Universe candidate for engine exposure goes, and fails as well. 0 points. DNF.
I know being a jerk was a profession. The scores are still engine exposure with 18 and double it with 15. Up next is the GRX 56 Fusion Busta.
And it doesn't matter that he has a bad run for 0 points. Engine exposure is going to take this one 18-15, with still 2 left to go.
You know I love an underdog victory. Engine exposure is going to take it, but Silhouette 2 has a chance to get individual points for himself. But he does not do it. 0 points. Still 18-15. Engine exposure over double it.
Thanks for that failure expert analysis. Last up we have the Green Drift King.
At least I'm an expert at something.
Definitely an interesting footnote on the resume. Green Drift King doesn't do well, 0 points. And that's how this one will end up. Engine exposure with 18. Double it with 15. Now, who's taking us through our walkthrough?
Ladies first. Nothing in bucket 4 or 3. One laying outside the bucket for engine exposure.
Suck you by our ladies too. 3 apiece in bucket 2. And moving along the track, we see 3 located around the loop, followed by the Green Drift King around the corner, and finally the light blue Chevy Solaire CX4 back here.
Final score is engine exposure with 18 and double it with 15. Double it is eliminated. Our next match comes out of the Northern Conference Plains Division with 1-seeded High Five versus 16-seeded Karts.
Up first for High Five is Riveted.
And he's smooth out the gate, smooth through the loop, smooth out the jail, and into bucket 2 for 5 points. What a riveting performance.
That it was, Chip. That'll put High Five into the lead with 5 points. It'll be up to the Karts, B-Dash or Yoshi, to either match or beat that and keep them in this. Any predictions from either of you two on this one?
Yoshi has a good track record of landing in bucket 2. And with that, he continues to have a good track record and lands in bucket 2, scoring 5 points for the Karts.
One race or easy prediction. Karts tie it up to High Five, 5 apiece. The Buick Grand National is up next for High Five. And checking my crystal ball, it looks like High Five's gonna pull out a victory on this one.
Bold prediction as usual, Chip, but it may not be a good one. The Buick Grand National falls out of the loop and gets 0 points.
And with that, DNF, High Five and the Karts are still tied with 5. Up next is the standard Kart Mario. Hey Chip, do we get to break your crystal ball if it's wrong?
No shock that you're first in line to be a ball breaker. Standard Kart Mario falls out and he gets 0 points.
Unfortunately, Mario doesn't take advantage of the opening that was left to him. High Five and Karts are both still tied with 5, with the Amazoom, the last up for High Five.
Amazoom has been very consistent, and he Amazooms down the track, through the loop and out the jail, and he slows down a little bit but ends up landing in bucket 1 for 4 points.
That'll put High Five back in the lead with 9 over the Karts with 5. The remaining Karts have not scored as of yet in this tournament, but maybe the standard Kart Bowser can change that for his team.
He won't. This one's over. See? Told you. 0 points.
High Five still in the lead with 9, the Karts still with 5. With the kart being the last chance for the Karts to score points. Let's see if he can do it.
Don't worry, he can't. I root for underdogs, not lost causes. See? 0 points. Stuck in the launcher.
As much as I hate to admit it, Chip, you are right again. High Five ends this one with 9, Karts with 5. Take us through our walkthrough.
Nothing for either team in bucket 4 or 3. 1 apiece in bucket 2. And the deciding factor, 1 for high 5 in bucket 1. The remaining are back by the loop, and that'll see the end of this one.
High 5 end up with 9. Karts end up with 5. Karts are eliminated. In the last match on the day from the Western Conference Coastal Division is the 1-seeded Mach Won versus the 16-seeded Marvel and DC, with the green Mach Go for Mach Won up first.
And with a clean run, he lands in bucket 2, scoring 5 points for Mach Go.
Really? That's your commentary? Oh, he had a clean run. How exciting. Now he launches out of the jail into bucket 2 for 5 points. Classic TV series Batmobile's up next for Marvel and DC.
Sorry if someone sucked up all the excitement out of the room when they showed up. Whoa! Launches out of the jail for 5 points, landing in bucket 2 that ties it up. Yay!
Certainly exciting news for Marvel and DC, Zippy. Next up is the gray Mach Go for Mach 1.
Oh yeah, nothing says exciting like a dance recital. Grey Mach Go has a smooth run, but a slow exit out of the jail. 4 points into bucket 1.
Ha! At least I'm talented enough to get into dance. What do you do for a living? Nothing? Mach 1 with 9 points and Marvel and DC with 5. Up next is the green Batmobile for Marvel and DC.
Hate to say it, Chip, but she has a point. She is doing your former job right now. Oh, and the green Batmobile has a troubling finish for 0 points. Usually a consistent finisher. This time, nothing.
Still 9-5 Mach 1 over Marvel and DC, with the blue Mach Go for Mach 1 up next. Yes, she may be doing my job, but who's doing it better, huh?
Me. And with that, blue Mach Go lands in bucket 2, scoring 5 points.
A nice strong finish for the last one to go for Mach 1. The blue Mach Go makes it 14-5 with the Venom Subaru WRX STI up next for the Marvel and DC.
Oh, you do this better, huh? Well, maybe I would dance Swan Lake better if I had a big, fluffy, luxurious tail.
Who cares about a tail when you need eyes to see that the Venom Subaru WRX STI gets 5 points for his team? It is now 14-10. Scarlet Witch is up next with a chance to tie or even take the lead for Marvel and DC.
How did you know I did Swan Lake? You weren't there, were you?
Everybody does Swan Lake, of course, as a guess. Scarlet Witch gets 5 points.
And those 5 points will seal this match, taking Marvel and DC to 15 over Mach 1's 14, with the muscle-bound Robin for Marvel and DC up next.
Chip, you're an atrocious liar. Also, you care! You actually came! Muscle-bound Robin gets 5 points in a bucket too, whatever.
I know what you mean. Chipmunks are too cool for dance theater. More importantly, the 49 Merc Batgirl is up next for Marvel and DC.
Sure. Anyway, 49 Merc Batgirl gets 0 points to DNF.
Still 15-14, Marvel and DC over Mach 1. They haven't added any more points to their score. But what I did here was, Zippy, you were terrible in Swan Lake. Vision for Marvel and DC goes and falls out of the loop. 0 points. He ends up with a DNF. Score remains the same, 15-14.
Bad! She stole the show! I mean, I read that in the reviews, of course. Miss Marvel is up next for Marvel and DC. And she falls off the track like this broadcast has. 0 points, DNF.
Aw, thank you! What reviews? I don't remember there being any reviews. Anyway, the score stays the same. 14... no, it's 15-14.
Now that you've got each other Twitter pated, the TV series Batmobile gets 0 points with the DNF for the Marvel and DC. The final will be 15 Marvel and DC over 14 Mach 1. Walk through, anyone?
None in bucket 4 or 3. 2 Mach 1 and 4 Marvel and DC in bucket 2. 1 Mach 1 in bucket 1.
I see what you did there. Very clever. 4 cars fell out of the loop, and 1 car is way back here. Ms. Marvel fell off the track.
And the favored Mach 1 with 14, and the underdogs Marvel and DC with 15. Mach 1 will be eliminated. Looking at the Western Conference, we see Marvel and DC will be facing off against Precious Metals next round, while Team Honda Toyota takes on the big blocks.
Over in the Eastern Conference, the Firestarters will take on 1-0, and the Smash Brothers will take on Engine Exposure.
And another round for us to take each other on in a relationship.
Adorable. In the Southern Conference, Air It Out will take on Team Ferrari. Team Nissan will take on the Stingrays.
How could I say no when she's waggling that tail? In the Northern Conference, High Five will take on Code Red, and Clear Winners will take on the Vipers.
Stay tuned for those coming matchups as we move on to the round of 16. As always, thanks for watching. Subscribe to our channel, like our content.
comment on the videos, and share those videos with your friends. I'm Chip Monkington.
I'm Zippy Squirrel.
And I'm Adam Croxton for Croxton Family Racing. Thank you all for joining us, and we will see you next time. Stay safe, be free.